Hello and welcome to another historic video. Today we'll be taking a look at this Tempered Steel White Weenie deck. The namesake card, Tempered Steel, is an enchantment that acts as a lord and it buffs all artifact creatures by +2/+2. In addition, we are running 4 copies of Reign of Truth, which will give a target creature +1/+1 for each artifact or enchantment we control on the first 2 stages, and then on the last stage it will transform into a creature that gets +1/+1 for each artifact or enchantment we control. And then we're also running 2 copies of All That Glitters, and this will buff our creature by +1/+1, similar to Reign of Truth. When it comes to creatures, we're running a bunch of 1-drops and 0-drops that we can play quickly and then hopefully curve into one of these buff spells on turn 2, 3, and 4. We have 4 copies of Ornithopter, which costs 0 mana to cast. We have 2 copies of Arcbound Mouser, which has lifelink and modular 1, so when it dies we can put any counters that are on it onto another target artifact creature. Court Homunculus, which is usually going to be a 2/2 with the buff that it receives from its passive ability. 4 copies of Esper Sentinel to tax our opponent's non-creature spells, and 4 copies of Gingerbrute, which uses haste to get in quickly and can also turn itself into an unblockable creature, except by other creatures with haste, for 1 colorless mana. Then at 2 mana, we're running 4 copies of Patchwork Automaton, which has Ward 2, and it also gets a 1/1 counter each time we cast an artifact spell. 4 copies of Frogmite, which we will usually be playing for 1 or 0 mana due to its affinity ability. And 4 copies of Stonecoil Serpent to round out the creature base. And this creature will be cast for a variety of different values depending on how much mana we have available when we cast it. And if we have a Tempered Steel in play, we can even pay 0 for the X cost, and it will come in as a 2/2 creature. For the mana base, we're playing the full set of Artifact Lands, Ancient Den, which counts towards our buff spells, 1 copy of Aganjo, 10 Plains, and 2 Blinkmoth Nexus, which can also turn itself into an artifact creature, gaining the buffs and counting towards buffs for other creatures as well. And 3 Witch Enchanters, which can either be played out as a creature to destroy an artifact or enchantment, or we can bolt it in for another white mana if needed. We're only running 2 Blinkmoth because it is important that if we have Tempered Steel in our hand, we are able to cast it on turn 3. And so having a double white pip means that we are going to want to make sure we have more white mana in this deck. But it is something you can play around with, potentially swapping out a Witch Enchanter or 2 for a few additional copies of Blinkmoth Nexus. And yeah, so this is just a pure aggro deck. You try and put down more creatures than your opponent and go wide, and use some of the evasive abilities that your creatures have, such as flying and trample, to get over the finish line before your opponent can do what they're trying to do. So that's the deck. Let's go ahead and jump into the games. Okay, this is a keepable opening hand. We will need another white mana to play Tempered Steel. Start off with Sentinel and cast the turn. No need to show Ornithopter yet. The Sentinel from our opponent. We'll run out Nexus, and we'll run out all of our Ornithopters. Cast the turn. We do this so that if we top deck a white land, we can play Tempered Steel and attack immediately with the Ornithopters. And we do. We will bolt that in. Let our opponent draw one card. So we have a removal spell. They do not. And now we'll swing in for 9 damage. Next turn, we can fire up the Blinkmoth Nexus that is in play. There's some additional damage from the air. Our opponent shocks in Sacred Foundry. And they are going to exile our Tempered Steel. But we draw another one off the top. Cast. And do a hasty ginger root. And our opponent concedes. Okay, this is a good hand. Here we have the option of playing out Court Homunculus or Esper Sentinel on turn 1. Our opponent is on a graveyard-based deck, so we are going to try and be as aggressive as possible. This is the Persist Life-Death combo. And they can go off as soon as turn 2. With no graveyard hate in this deck, we're just hoping to race our opponent. They keep 3 out of the 5 cards on top. We will play Double Sentinel and Ornithopter. Hit for 2. Looting from our opponent. They let us draw 2 cards. Ornithopter is a great pickup. We'll be able to run that out along with the Tempered Steel next turn. And our opponent is likely to hit the combo right here. There it is. We don't sit through this on this channel anymore. Okay, we'll give this one a try. Up against a Lourdes strategy. Our opponent deciding whether to keep their hand. Against a black and red Rakdos deck, we will start with Sentinel. Try and tax some of their removal spells. They're actually going to be on discard, so I'm going to try and run out. Threats. The ward on Patrick Automaton is going to be very difficult for our opponent to get past. Although they will have quite a few blockers. Generated from Waste Not. We are a creature heavy deck. We will discard Reign of Truth here. And we will discard Homunculus as well. Our opponent will get to draw a card and create a token. Another discard here would be absolutely backbreaking. And they do have Thoughtseize. Now we don't have any. I should have played out Court before the attack. I am assuming they're going to chump though, and they do. They can trade instead. But now we will run out our Homunculus. And with no cards in hand, unless our opponent has a way to force us to draw, we're not likely to have a card the remainder of the game. another discard spell. We are going to attack with Sentinel here because we don't want our opponent to allow us to continue to draw cards every time they cast a spell. That is a way that they can keep our hand nice and full. So we take 7 damage here, down to 6. Now they either need to kill Patchwork, or they need to chump it each turn. We will discard this land. Let's see what our opponent does with their mana here. They really don't want to destroy the Sentinel. I think they realize that it's a great way for them to continue drawing cards, but Witch Enchanter won't do it. We will run out another Sentinel here. Attack with everything. Chump block for our opponent, down to 5. So they do need to keep getting creatures. We'll discard the flying. And they are dwindling on cards in their hands, so unless they keep top decking discard spells, then eventually they will run out and we'll get to cast some of these extra cards they're giving us. They could put Loris in hand here, or they could level up one of the talents. Pump spell off the top will win the game, and there it is. So we'll play out Stone Coil for 1, and then we will attach Ball That Glitters to Ornithopter. And that'll be game over. Good game. Okay, this is a keepable opening hand. We'll start on Esper Sentinel. Without having a second creature to put the tokens on, we don't want to start on Earthbound, and we have elves from our opponent. We will offer up the trade. They don't take it, so then we play out some of the creatures and cast attack. This is going to be a tough matchup, as our opponent can go wide and usually bigger than us. We'd love a land off the top, and we get it. So we'll play Stone Coil for 1. Fragmite. And I don't think our opponent's going to block here, so we're going to put it on Arcbound for the first buff. And if they want to trade either of their cards for Esper Sentinel, I'm okay with that. It would mean less damage next turn. Next turn we plan on targeting the Stone Coil, which means they won't be able to use this bounce trick to prevent damage. Play the Priest again. And a Llanowar Elf. And they concede. Okay, this opening hand has a lot of buff spells, but it does not have any castable creatures. so it will have to be a mulligan. This one is better. I'll throw back one of the stone coil serpents. Looks like an enchantment deck from our opponent. So we will lead off with Esper Sentinel to try and tax their enchantments. Here we'll get to draw a card. Witch Enchanter seems like it would be a good card in this matchup. We'll play out Patchwork Automaton and hit the 1. There's white mana from our opponent now, so that's going to be a lot of removal. We'll take 2. Then we will play out our Court Homunculus. And our Stone Coil Serpent. 2. Now when they give this indestructible, that's fine with me. Let's see what our opponent follows up with. Alright. Another life gain creature. Not many enchantments that we would expect to see. We'll take the 4. Tempered Steel, probably the best top deck we have. We'll hold on to Witch Enchanter for now. And then we'll swing with everyone. See if our opponent has a combat trick. They could double block Sentinel. Instead, they just chump down to 5. What we don't want to see here is a lot of pump spells on Life's Bounty, Lifelink, and of course, we speak it into existence. So we will be able to use Witch Enchanter on it next turn to destroy it. But in the meantime, our opponent will gain some of their life back. They might hold Vanguard back on chump duty and give it indestructible. Second pump spell. And that's actually game over. Speak it into existence and it will happen. Good game. Okay, this is a good opening hand. We will start off with Sentinel, and then we will try and curve into Patchwork and Ornithopter. If we draw the 3rd land, we can also play Tempered Steel on curve. Black-blue could be a mill deck. It's self-mill. Alright, so here we will play Patchwork and Ornithopter into Frogmite. Hit the 1. Next turn, Tempered Steel will grow our creatures. And this deck struggles with creatures that have more than 4 toughness, as they just can't get through. Summon Bahamut. So that's what the persist is in the deck for. hopefully they don't have one in their hand. Here we could either tempered steel or play out some of our Sweeney creatures and try and tempered steel next turn. I actually think that is probably the better route to take. Just in case they do have the persist in hand. Fire. Moment of truth. They do not have it. So now that they have no more mana, we'll be able to plan our trump blocks accordingly. The opponent will have 3 blockers back on defense. Let's see if they attack. If they do, we will take it. Alright, so here I believe tempered steel is our only choice. If we swing in with everyone, they can block the 3 largest creatures, and we're only going to be getting through for 8 damage, which is not enough. So we will play out our Stone Coil for 0, which will come in as 2/2s. Note, if they do remove tempered steel, both of the Stone Coils will be sacrificed, and then our opponent has hit 1 Creeping Chill, so there's a lot of them left in the deck. We will not tempt our fate and just hope that they can't hit 2 of those this turn. One thing to note is the Stone-Coiled Serpents do have protection from multicolored creatures, so they can chump block the Prized Amalgam. Our opponent thinking about something. Okay, they return Haunted Dead instead of casting their Creeping Chill. Interesting decision. And then they will let us draw 2 cards by casting Tome Scour. Here's another Persist Mill. And they return a Narcomoeba. So they might be trying to close this one out in the air. We have another flying blocker. Frogmite. And then I think we hold off on Reign of Truth until next turn, and we can use it to pump one of our Stone Coils and get through trample damage, or we can use it on Arcbound Mouser and gain some life. Founding the Third Path. They should just start it on Chapter 3 here and use it to use Persist right away. We'll see what they choose. They saw the line as well, and so this will likely be game over. But we'll see how they attack and what we have remaining. If they overcommit, the second Tempered Steel and the Reign of Truth in our hands might allow us to get past any blockers they leave behind. This is a new version of the deck. I have not seen this technology in it yet. Usually it's just trying to mill their 3 powered creatures and return them quickly. They choose not to attack. So next turn they're going to be able to destroy another creature. So what we want to do here is gain some life. While leaving up another flying blocker. Big chump. That takes us up to 18. Let's see what they destroy here. With their mana untapped, they're able to pay the ward on one of the patchworks, or they could go for the Reign of Truth. It's unlikely that they select one of the other creatures, but they do go for the Mouser. We will put it on our flying creature. And the last phase here means it would pretty much burn us out, so we are going to have a big swing next turn. They draw a card. And they pass it back. So what I can do here activate Blink Boss, so it counts towards our artifact count. Then we will put 13 counters on our Gingerbrute. We will make it unblockable. And then we will pump the team. And we'll see if this is enough to get over the finish line. And it looks like it might be. We'll see if our opponent concedes. And they do. Wow. What a game. Okay, this is a good opening hand. We will need another white mana to get the Tempered Steel down. In the meantime, we will start on Sentinel. Thoughts used from our opponent, likely to take our Tempered Steel. And they do. Another Sentinel is a good pickup. So we will place Sentinel into Gingerbrute, into Ornithopter, into Frogmite. At this point, we're hoping for no sweeper from our opponent. Even worse, a Psychic Frog, which will be able to blank all of our creatures. We can get in with Gingerbrute still. And we'll play out a Homunculus. Our only chance here is to go wide or to pump up our Gingerbrute and get through with damage that way. So they can make this into a 6/7, which we do not have enough to block. So we will chump. We'll have to discard at least one card here to destroy our Ornithopter. And get rid of the counterspell. This is probably the last playable turn of the game. And we do hit a Tempered Steel. We'll swing all out. Here they're deciding to block Gingerbrute because they know it can be made unblockable next turn. But that means that they will be taking 14 damage here, down to 1. They you need to come up with 2 blockers or 2 removal spells. They go digging. And we win it. Good game. Okay, so there's the deck. As you can see, we were able to deploy our small creatures quickly, and then playing Tempered Steel, we were able to get a massive boost of damage that was able to overwhelm a lot of our opponents. Against the discard, we were able to quickly empty our hand, which, outside of Esper Sentinel, providing additional card draw, we were able to avoid what our opponent's deck was trying to do. This deck will struggle against some of the top tier meta decks. We also didn't go against too much combo, which we don't really have any interaction for. But overall, it was able to put up some good victories today. And it's definitely a fun budget deck that you can put together without having to use too many rare or wild cards if you're looking for something different to play. When it comes to creatures, there's definitely some interchangeability that you can do with the numbers. I definitely would keep in the Ginger Brute and the Frogmite, as well as the Ornithopter and Stonecoil Serpent, but the numbers on the Arcbound Mouser, Court Homunculus, and Esper Sentinel can be played with. If you find some other creatures, maybe some flying artifacts or some vigilant artifacts that you want to test out. Similar at the mana base, we can look at maybe putting in a few more colorless lands and see how that impacts our curve, and if it has some difficulty allowing us to play out Tempered Steel on curve. But yeah, so that was the gameplay. I want to thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe for more content.